Hey guys, this is James.
And this is Denny from TeaDB bringing you guys episode 188.
Yes.
I had to look at the notes.
We have a new set here.
We moved to New York City.
We fired our old staff. We've been hiring cabinet members slowly. The interior, the secretary, minister, Harry Potter person.
Yes.
New one. Stevie got fired. Go for it. So we have some Shancha, which just literally means mountain tea, which is a black tea from Emilio over there at the Jade Leaf. So thank you to Emilio, who we featured in a couple episodes when I was out there in Taiwan. It's a really great guy, Emilio. I've never tried this tea before. From what I understand, it's sort of like his signature black tea.
Yeah.
So a Taiwanese black tea. And really curious to try it and get Denny, who drinks a lot more black tea than myself's opinion.
Yeah, this stuff is so incredibly fragrant. It's blowing my mind. Even just in the bag, gotta say. So we opened the bag up and it was just like a whirlwind of perfumey, floral little.
Does that smell like black tea to you?
It does. The actual in the wrapper smells a little bit more than in the cup. In the cup, it smells a bit more like black tea to me. So, and we're using 2.2 grams for a 70 milliliter gaiwan, and it might not be enough, but fingers crossed that it will be.
And that's why we got this here, so we can add to it.
Yeah, and it's kind of always a nightmare to try to undo bitter tea as opposed to having a little bit not quite as strong. So
right. So as we've said, this is our first run with this tea. It looks on the lighter end of things, but still plenty of good color on that.
Yeah. It smells really Unani to me. Unani. I was in a band called Unani,
which is different than umami.
Very true. I was also in a band called Umami.
That is smelly.
Smelly in a good way, by the way.
Yes.
All right. Salud. Let's do it. Nozdrovia.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers. It's light, but has a really wonderful sweetness already. Almost a little hint of smokiness.
So you would say this is closer to a Yunnan black tea?
Yeah, but it doesn't have that corn sweetness as much, which I think is a pretty characteristic aspect of the Yunnan blacks. I put this more of like a flowery sweetness, but it doesn't. But unlike a green oolong that has that flowery, crisp sweetness, this has a sort of like, roasty, smoky, earthier, flowery sweetness.
I would say it's also very sweet.
Absolutely.
I feel like this sort of has that kind of molasses brown sugar sweetness a little bit to it as well.
Yeah.
Sort of like that darker.
Yeah.
Rather than like super fresh florals.
Yeah. I think the black sugar, the molasses and brown sugar is a good explanation. Dude, we're suddenly a lot less tan.
I know.
What's up with that?
Well, I mean, I don't know about you, but I'm a vampire, so.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So.
All right. Well, send your donations only at night.
We need to buy our tanning bed. We ran over budget.
I'd
rather not say.
All those IVs.
I'd rather not say.
Okay. Don't worry about it.
Cut the camera.
So I'm gonna give this a little bit longer of a steeping.
And would you say this is a good way to consume tea if you want to drink tea, but maybe you don't want to like get super jittery or drink a lot of caffeine? Like just use a less leaf and just really push it for just a few infusions.
Yeah, black teas and green teas and white teas are going to be amenable to that as well because they're not going to seep out for quite as long. So their longevity in terms of the just number of brews you can make is significantly limited. Not that says anything about the quality of the tea whatsoever. It's just that tends to be the case for that category.
So it's a good way to sort of curb your parameters to fit the time of the day.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is a tea where it's great quality and it's something that I wish we could have. It's kind of tea that you want to play around with and brew 3 or 4 times and figure out what is the best way to brew it. So we could be underdoing it right now a little bit in terms of the volume of the tea in the cup. I don't like to see them full like the sort of Scott Wilson style raw pu'er where it's like, is there even water in the cup? This is definitely not the kind of tea that you would brew like a raw pu'er where you'd be using a ton of leaf.
Right.
It's different in that regard. So
yeah. Cheers, guys.
Cheers.
Good texture on this. Sort of has that silk black tea texture going on. A
little hint of like some black pepper or paprika, some sort of just like a little bit of a spice, not like a chili spice, but just a little bit of that like kind of biting your tongue spice just a little bit, but not in like a tannin or bitter way. Mm-hmm. Good texture now. Quite nice.
The aroma is a little bit weaker from the leaf now, but it's still.
What do you think of the quality?
It looks like good quality to me. What about you?
I think so too, and it's almost, you can see it's almost a little green. It's kind of hard to see in the light here, but
definitely
it's not nearly as black as it could be.
Certainly not pitch black like you'll get for some black teas.
So we're gonna leave this in for even longer, and while we're brewing too, I'm sure as everyone knows, the water's cooling down. So in the next steeping, we'll probably heat the water back up. This will be the last steeping that we had, and this steeping will be the most like full-bodied and flavorful. And one of the cool things about these black teas, and green teas, but I think specifically black teas, is that they really do evolve really noticeably steep by steep. And that can be kind of a fun experience for folks out there who are just getting new into tea. The raw pu'ers and the ripe pu'ers they will evolve through the cups, but they'll evolve much more from steeping 2 to 5, whereas this is going to evolve 2 to 3 in a dramatic way. Mm-hmm. So, what do you think of this so far?
I think it's quite nice. I'm enjoying the tea. What about yourself?
I like it. I think the greenness is leaving me with this sort of almost oriental beauty.
That's a good comparison, actually.
Sweetness, but not a little bit more black tea-ness in there.
Yeah, and I actually have no idea where this is grown within Taiwan, if it's near, I suppose it's probably not summer leaf like Oriental Beauty is, so it's probably closer to a black, but it could potentially be somewhat similar in terroir to that rather than a Yunnan Black or something.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is now tasting to me more like a sweet Taiwanese tea than it is a Yunnan Chinese tea.
Okay, interesting. Like what Taiwanese teas does this remind you of?
I think Oriental Beauty is easily the closest, but there's just that sort of oolong sweetness that you get that you might not get from like those roasted oolongs, but you can get from like Oriental Beauty. Even something like Baozong, which is a little bit more floral and crisp, but still has those sort of perfumey sweetness to it. So, but at the same time, though, like you said, the brown sugar thing, I think is spot on as well. So it's kind of I'm liking this tea. It's a little bit complicated.
So maybe stylistically, in terms of like things that Taiwanese farmers or whatever will evaluate, they're going for that sort of specific criteria.
I wonder. Yeah, I'm not too sure. It could also be like you were just talking about. It could be the terroir. It could just be literally these teas are
grown somewhat close to each other.
Yeah, and so.
Well, cheers, guys. Stronger than I thought. It still has a decent enough body.
Yeah.
It's not strong tea per se, but it's good.
Oh, this is so sweet. This is incredible. This is the kind of tea that you brew for someone and they ask you, is there sugar in this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, is there sugar in this, Emilio? I don't think there is. But this is also the tea that you brew for your grandmother and your mother and for non-tea drinkers.
Yeah, and you take out the raw pu'er for the good old boys.
Yeah.
Or girls.
Or if you want to make...
Ladies.
Or if you have a frenemy.
Frenemy? Frenemies? I don't know what to say.
The friend enemy.
Frenemies. Frenemies? Comment below and correct. Normally people solicit comments that are important. We're like, how do you say frenemies? How do you spell that?
Yeah. So if you just want to throw him a little bit of curveball, then Rob Pooler could be a good.
Absolutely true. Yeah. Just give them the stankiest young raw and just tell them it's wonderful, sweet,
yeah.
So sweet. Let's be like,
yeah,
really? Yeah, it's sweet. Ugh.
What's wrong with your palate, bro?
So this is the fourth and final steeping. Leaves are looking really pretty. We're gonna let it hang out for quite a bit. It's gonna be harder to mess up and oversteep at this point. So
yeah,
we can kind of be a little bit less cautious.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what else?
Yeah. Well, we got a new table.
Yep.
Our labor of interior secretary got us this.
Thank you, George Bush Jr. He's looking for work.
It's true.
Yeah, he did a library and he's kind of bored now. So did he do a library? Probably did a library.
No.
Yeah, I'll do library.
I think he just paints. Good man.
Good man.
Anyway,
very political today on TeaDB. Yeah. Political trolling.
Yes.
Oh man, the leaves here are really beautiful. I must say, they're not tiny, but
yeah,
still brewing up quite.
Yeah, this is definitely not your tippy buddy black tea.
Right. But still nice and strong. So final steeping. This is going to be off of the boil, so it's going to be a little bit hotter.
Yep. Yeah, not much aroma left. Maybe a little bit. If you are very determined, you could get another steeping if you steep for like 5 minutes or something.
Yeah, and you can throw this in a mason jar and put it in your fridge and have some nice, not super strong iced tea.
I could see this being good ice too.
Yeah.
I think the Oriental Beauty comparison is probably the closest I can think of.
I think so. Yeah. Overall, really tasty. So let's do it.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers. It's definitely on the way down. It's lighter. It's got more roast and earth in it now.
Yeah.
I think the sort of sweetness has died off a little bit.
Yeah, it still has some sweetness. Yeah.
But it's still really pleasant and yummy. So.
Yeah, more of the florals and the earthier tones a little bit.
Mm. All right, well, James, if you folks want to learn more about how they can be super tough and really macho while drinking tea like us on the internet,
you can sign up for our newsletter at gungfugangsters.com.
Someone gift that to us, please. Just redirect it.
We already
to
gave you your cover photo right there. So if you want to find out more about tea, come check us out at TeaDB.org. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Do all those things. Also check out Emilio at the Jade Leaf. Would you recommend this tea?
Absolutely would. This is a really yummy, really accessible black tea that I think connoisseurs will really appreciate, and you can also give this to your grandmama.
Yep, very friendly, and I think don't be misled by this episode where we only did 4 steeps. I think we could get a lot more if we used a little more leaf.
Yep.
So definitely quality material. So go check them out over there, and thank you guys for tuning in.
Peace.